Vicki Gunvalson lives by a work hard, play hard philosophy, and her recent Spanish getaway showed both sides of how she balances life, her business, her family, her fun. The former Real Housewives of Orange County star has built a multi-pronged business empire. She runs Coto Insurance and financial services, and she still makes time for what matters most: her son, her partner, and making memories. Earlier this month, Vicki and her boyfriend Michael Wolfsmith headed to Spain for what she described as a mini family reunion, reconnecting with her son, Michael Wolfsmith, who is now living in Ibiza. In a September 10th episode of My Friend, My Soulmate, My Podcast, Vicki confirmed that her son has taken up residence in Ibiza and that she came to join him along with Michael and Mike's girlfriend, Sarah. What follows are the highlights of that trip: some wild nights, some peaceful days, and a mother's reflections about what home means when your child chooses another path. One night in particular stood out. Vicki, Michael, Mike, and Sarah went to a hyper club in Ibiza called UNVRS, known for its big shows, electronic music, and massive crowds. Vicki described the club as something out of a dreamscape, or a construction zone, 3 levels, lights, music booming everywhere. She admitted she was a bit out of her comfort zone. It was crazy, and anybody that's been to Ibiza knows it's not a normal city. It's like go out at 2 a.m., come home at 7 a.m. He made us go to this place called UNVRS. I go, where are we going? Mike is like, this is rave. 15,000 people every night. Michael and I went there to support my son. Vicki laughed about how surreal it felt. Like Disneyland, but EDM style. She said there was a DJ in the bathroom, ballerinas coming down from ceilings, music in every corner. But as much as it was unforgettable, it was also intense. She and Michael left after about an hour. No plans to stay longer in that environment. After that crazy night, the rest of the trip was more relaxed. When Michael Wolfsmith left to return home, Vicki stayed with Mike and Sarah for several more days. They explored the island of Mallorca, rented a car, drove around winding roads, hiked scenic trails, and soaked up sun on the beaches. She shared photos of these moments in an Instagram carousel published around September 18th. The posts showed beautiful harbors, blue water, smiles, laughter, family in peaceful form. Sun, blue water, and my favorite people, she wrote in the caption. This trip was all about family, laughter, and making memories that last a lifetime. Towards the end of her time in Spain, Vicki asked her son when he planned to come back to the United States. Mike's answer surprised her somewhat. He now views Europe as home. That was hard for Vicki to hear. She said she struggled to accept that his life might be abroad now. That for him, Europe feels like the place he belongs. She joked, maybe half seriously, that she told him, no son, this is not home, you have to come back. But she also seemed to understand, or try to understand, his sense of where he wants to live. Amid that emotional journey, there's also the professional angle. What is Mike doing now? And is he still part of his mother's company, Coto Insurance and Financial Services? The answer, yes, he is. Vicki has described Mike as being the vice president of life insurance at Coto. She has said she hopes one day to pass the baton to him, though he tells her he's not quite ready yet to work as hard as she does. In a birthday post from earlier this year, Vicki celebrated Mike as an incredible life insurance specialist and noted that he works at her company. She praised his work openly. From what public info shows, he has been involved in the insurance business arm of the company, particularly life insurance, which is a key part of Coto's offerings. While Mike is still part of Coto, the trip and the conversations reveal that in many ways, his life is becoming more independent. Living abroad, embracing European life, possibly slowing down on how much he works. Vicki has mentioned publicly that Mike has encouraged her to consider working fewer days, 3 or 4 instead of a full schedule, so she has space for life outside work. He seems to be part of the business, but also forging his own path. Vicki's own feelings about all this, her business, motherhood, and letting go, are nuanced. On one hand, she's proud of Mike, proud that he's doing well, proud of his sense of independence, proud that he lives his best life, traveling, experiencing new things. On the other hand, this kind of change brings challenges for a mom who built a big part of her identity around her business, who has spent years working to grow Coto, and who, in many ways, expects family to remain close by. Hearing Europe is home is a shift she's still processing. Her trip, then, wasn't just a vacation, it was deeply symbolic. It was a way for Vicki to connect with her son in his new world, support him in what he is choosing, witness the joy in his life abroad, and also hold space for her own feelings about what it means to see your child choose a different path. It was wild nights and calm mornings. It was electronic music and quiet beaches. It was a mom trying to be both anchored in her own work and willing to lean into change. From a business perspective, Vicki is continuing to lead Coto Insurance and Financial Services. She has long worked in insurance, starting her career in the early 1990s, eventually founding Coto Insurance after her divorce, and growing the company significantly. She posts often about the work family at Coto, about her employees, about her ethic of showing up every day. Meanwhile, Mike's role seems stable, vice president of life insurance, based out of the U.S. operations, but his physical presence and life are increasingly European. That said, there is no indication from public sources that he has formally shifted full-time to Europe, i.e., moving the business operations, though his living in Ibiza suggests he is balancing life abroad with his company role. One point of curiosity is how hands-on Mike is right now for day-to-day operations. Vicki's public comments suggest that although he holds the vice presidency, she is still very active in running the company. She has also mentioned that he hasn't wanted to take on all of her workload yet. That suggests he may be sharing responsibilities, but hasn't fully assumed whatever baton she might one day pass to him. As for what comes next, the dynamic between mother and son feels like it may continue to shift. The next time Vicki visits Mike in Europe might be one where she tries to adapt more, to accept that his sense of home is broader, that his life may no longer revolve around California. Mike may continue to travel, continue to explore life abroad, while remaining connected to Coto even if not physically present every day. For visuals in your video, you could show photos from the UNVRS club, scenes of Vicki hiking in Mallorca, family photos, contrast between the wild nightlife and quiet beach moments, screenshots where Vicki mentions Mike's role at Coto, maybe map visuals showing Ibiza to California to illustrate the distance and change. In short, Vicki Gunvalson's Spain trip was more than a party or a reunion. It was part business, part family, part letting go. Her son is doing well, living in Ibiza with new routines, and a life split between Europe and his role in her business. Vicki is proud, a bit hesitant, but ultimately supportive. She seems ready to accept change and to watch Mike carve out his own version of home, while she continues building hers.